It's a core. So Team Beacon, you have 5 minutes, and then we'll open it up for 3 minutes of Q&A. Ready when you are. Oh, you're on mute, Amanda.
No worries. Can everyone see my screen?
Yes, we can.
All right. Well, let me know when I'm good to get started.
You're good.
All right. So hi, everyone. We are Team Beacon. We are an end-of-life planning app, and we are part of COLAB14. Please allow me to introduce myself and my team. My name is Amanda. I'm the product manager. We have Ed, our product designer. Ekong is our front-end developer, and Abiodun is our back-end developer. So why an end-of-life planning app? While this is a sensitive topic, it's a pretty universal experience that will touch most people at least once in their lifetime. And so far, there's already been over 2 million deaths in the United States this year. However, when analyzed, only about 30% of Americans had actually completed any pre-planning before their end of life, which means 70% of Americans are left with the monumental endeavor of organizing the logistical, personal, and financial affairs of someone who has passed. We conducted interviews with people who had someone close to them pass within the past year. And we found that there were 3 major pain points, being confusion about what to do or what's important, difficulty in locating a loved one's information or accounts, and feeling overwhelmed regarding making decisions for someone who's passed. We also noticed that there were a few things that really help people in this process, including having a centralized location for all the information, having someone guide you in the process, and even talking to your loved one regarding their plans before they pass. This research helped us create, This research helped us create our problem statement, which is how might we provide a resource of the most common tasks needed to complete when a loved one passes, so that it helps organize and guide the people handling the affairs of the person who has passed. We decided that for our solution, we wanted a publicly proactive resource for people to use during this highly emotional and ambiguous time, and decided that for our MVP, we would have an ordered list of tasks someone can use to pre-plan an end-of-life transition, and we needed these tasks to be checked off on that list. So now I will briefly demo our product. This is our web app, Left Behind, and we have a sign up page, but if you already have an account, you can just sign in with your email and password. Hopefully Econ's not making, there we go. After you have signed up, if you're a first-time user, you're allowed to choose if you're pre-planning or managing a loss. And right now we only have the pre-planning track figured out. So after you select pre-planning, you're able to select who you are pre-planning for. And then you are brought over to your dashboard. Now, if you've already started a plan, it would show up here as continue. And once you do that, you are brought to an area where you have different sections that help you pre-plan this end-of-life transition. Clicking on a tile allows you to read a little more about what is in that section and then gives you an ordered list of tasks. When you click on a task, it again provides you with some information and even gives you an area to type in notes. You can save these notes, and then when you go back to your task list, the task will be checked off. And if you click back into it, the note is saved and you can see that information again. This will happen for each area of your plan, so the areas on the dashboard, you can click into each one of them and see all of these tasks. And eventually you'll also be able to email this as a PDF to yourself or your loved one. Going back to our presentation, we will now like to share some of our key learnings. And for me as the product manager, I learned that having a good team culture is really important, and that everyone being able to feel comfortable around themselves and sharing ideas really helps the team to grow.
As a product designer, I've learned that there's some things you can't just do without. And one of them is a good product manager is indispensable. We started using Jira, sprints, and daily stand-ups for our team, and it made us more efficient and helped us to prioritize what features to work on. I also learned that continuing testing and revising our work was essential to creating a good product. We ended up changing the name of our product after some strong user reaction to the old name. Finally, I learned that it's important to start development early in order to allow time for revisions and testing.
Sorry, as a backend engineer, what I learned towards the program is effective communication, and also during the development process is being able to think of how to structure your data effectively and how to work in line with the front end, and to be able to like make some decision that will tally with both the design, the front end, and the entire team. So thank you.
And I don't know if our front end engineer Ekog is here, but you can check out our page to read his key learnings. And as a team, we definitely learned that there is no one way to create success, but there's many ways to get there. How important communication is, especially with different time zones and different cultures. And we want to shout out to our wonderful mentor, Kayla, who helps guide us through many roadblocks and, you know, was always there to keep us on task by asking the hard questions. And that is the end of our presentation, and we are now open for questions.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Good time management. So pretty much.
Yeah.
Awesome job. Yeah, you should be really proud of the work that you all did. Thanks for the very clear presentation. I really like your slides. Any questions from the audience before I ask my question? I do have a cool question to ask, but does anyone else from the audience have already give somebody else a chance to ask questions? So feel free to unmute or just put it in the chat and I can read it out to the audience. While we're waiting for some folks to ask some questions, I have one question. So what would you say, if you had more time, what else would you do? It already looks pretty good. Honestly, like it seems to like work perfectly. It's published, you can use it. I can assume that I can hit it and actually sign up. But if you had more time, what else would you add to this product?
Yeah, I know the emailing of the PDF was one thing we really wanted. So like after you fill it out and you click all your things and the information, you can email it, because when we were talking to people of an older demographic, they prefer the handwritten copy versus like a digital online. So if you're planning for somebody older, that would be really useful thing to have. And another thing that we thought about was connecting it to either like Dropbox or Google Drive, so that you had a secure place to store some of the more sensitive information, such as like account information or banking information. And that way it can definitely be more of that hub, especially if you have a family that is planning for, you know, somebody like a grandparent or something. So those would be two things that we would like to accomplish if we had more time.
Yeah.
Got it. There's another question from Kayla, but she's your mentor, so maybe I might skip that one and just go to Christina's question. What would you have considered in regard to the security of the personal information from Christina? That's a good question. Sorry if Kayla.
Yeah, so security wise, that's kind of why we wanted to connect to like Dropbox or Google Drive, because in terms of housing personal security, that's a really big issue. And so is cybersecurity and all of containing all of that and GDPR, and it's just a lot to accomplish for a very small but mighty team. So if you are able to connect to Dropbox or one of those other more well-established that have all of those security rules established, that should offer you that sense of safety versus us trying to craft all that and showcase that we're following all the right security things from multiple places.
Got it. Incredible. Awesome. So we're at time now, so we'll move on to the next team. Thank you so much, Team Beacon, for presenting.
Thank you, guys.
And now we'll move on to Team Offload.
Hey, thank you. I always forget how to share my screen. I don't know why I wasn't
uh, green button at the bottom that says
Yes, the share screen. Got it. Got it. Got it. Thank you. Got it. Okay, great. And
Right.
everyone can see me.
Yes.
I just want to say that before we start, that was such an incredible product. I wasn't nervous before, but now I am. So that was awesome. Really, really setting the bar very high. So hopefully you can all see my team as well. But for this 8 weeks, we created an application called Offload, which is the app where you can share your thoughts and feel heard. Before I start, I want to introduce you to my team. So I'm Ria, the product manager. We have Kevin as the product designer, Emmanuel and Jesse as our developer, and then finally our mentor was Katie, and she was super helpful throughout this whole process and really nailed us on our KPIs. So when we talk about COVID, right? I feel like we've all been really impacted by COVID, not just in terms of mental health, but there's been a stress at an all-time high, such a big uncertainty. And also when you think about physical services, especially when it comes to in-person services, there was such a lack of those services. And when we thought of it as a group of who are the individuals that are impacted, we've done a lot of user interviews, a lot of research, and we've realized that they are healthcare workers. So today I want to introduce you to Jessica. She is 30 years old. She's an ICU nurse, and she feels constant fatigue. She feels overworked, and she wants an outlet to distribute her stress, but she doesn't understand where. She's been trying to use different applications, and she realizes that she feels all this overwhelming feelings in terms of stress, in terms of blockage. And she realizes that even though she wants to journal and use all these practices, sometimes she just doesn't have that time. And so what we realized after doing all our user interviews, all our research, is why don't we create an application where you can offload all your thoughts and all your opinions right on one application? And this is what we've built. So Offload is designed to create a safe place to track your emotions, to identify your day-to-day stress points, and to decompress. And so I want to jump into what our key features are. So here's a small demo. So the first one is really just to record your notes. So we want you to be able to record how you feel at your convenience, save them as voice notes. And so if you're feeling any sort of way, depending if anyone is irritating you at work, or if something is just happening and you keep telling yourself, I want to switch my job, this was really an application where we wanted you to take lead on how you wanted to run with this application. We wanted you to be able to track your moods. So when you first get onto the application, every day you're able to identify how you're feeling versus on which emotion you're using, and you're able to track that on a calendar. So you can see, as you see here, that there's ways to track how you've been doing all throughout the week. And finally, we've realized through, again, our user interviews that sometimes people feel really nervous when they're voice noting. So we wanted to also give people opportunities to also journal what they're feeling. And I know that's been very big for a lot of people. So we want individuals to be comfortable, to write down their feelings, and also to change their notes down. So this is just what we've been able to use. And when we talk about our future features and development, there's so many different things that we wanted to add. So the first one is daily prompts, words of encouragement to get people to stay on the app, but also feel encouraged to build these habits. The other ones I really want to have is, so currently it's just an Android application. So we want to build it as an iOS application. We want to be able to put a password. So just to keep that level of safety. Badges, awards, in case everyone, you can build new goals and really understand how you want to set out your day intention wise. Hide other applications, but I see that we have 2 minutes. So I really want to jump into our key learnings. So as a product manager, I've learned really big, so many different learnings throughout this 8 weeks. I cannot believe how crazy that learning curve was. But the first one is communication, not just with the customers or the user researchers, but also my team. I really trusted them throughout this process. And, the biggest thing is not just prioritizing our features, but aligning them with our KPIs, because those are really where you can build your future iterations and also understand if your features are actually key while you're building. And then I'm going to pass it on to Kevin, our product designer.
Thank you, Ria. So some of my key learnings are good is better perfect, and that you should always be delivering some sort of deliverable presentation by the end of the week to the dev team as well as the PM, and always keep the ball moving in an agile environment. And following on with that, it's really setting a primary method to communication and recommit to always updating the entire team regarding design issues or any other issues that come up, so that we could always have enough time allotted to resolve any blockers that might be run into. With that being said, I'll pass it on to Emmanuel.
Okay, thank you very much, Kevin. Some of my key learnings are highlighted here. For the first one, I'll say, as a self-taught developer, working with a cross-functional team has been a huge step in increasing my confidence on approaching projects, and also working with another developer has been a valuable experience technically. Secondly, I would say communication is key when working in a team, especially an agile team. And thirdly, I would say being involved in the processes leading to implementation is very, very crucial to understanding the problem space. With that being said, I'll pass on to Jesse.
Thank you very much, Emmanuel. So as a developer who's mostly worked in personal projects, it was a huge learning experience for me being involved in the development cycle of a real product, right from the ideation phase to the deployment phase, and also being enlightened on how the development pipeline of a software product really works. And also spotting red flags in product development proved to be truly crucial when it comes to time management, feature prioritization, and much more. So I'll be passing it back to Ria.
Thanks, Jesse. So if you want to see any more information, please go to offload.live. And also, we just submitted our application to the Google Play Store. So that should be up very soon. And then thank you so much.
Awesome, great presentation. Love the visual design and just like everything. And thanks for sharing your learnings over the past 8 weeks. Do we have any questions? Feel free to unmute your mic and ask a question if you do.
I have a quick question. What was the favorite feature or part of the app that you designed, like, or worked on?
That's a really great question. I think my favorite one was definitely like the calendar feature. So being able to track having like the emojis onto that visual view, especially when you see it for like a month's end, is super. You can really see how your moods have changed throughout the weeks. And also one of the features that we want to implement is that if there are, which I really want to get into, but I realize we don't have a lot of time to discuss. But if we see and we want to track this data for users, that if they're constantly feeling down, if there's something, you're constantly sad or angry, we want it to be able to provide external resources and give users that serving. So if that means professional help, or if that means, even giving individuals like another outlet. So if it's music, which is what we've seen a lot of different users tell us, that's how they decompress, or if it's walking, we would suggest different podcasts. And there's just so many ways where this application can go and where it can be built off from. So I really enjoy having that calendar app to sort of showcase your progress. Thanks for the question. Anyone else?
There's another question in the chat from Adako.
Oh.
Is there any plan to address negative trends? So if you see the trends going on the negative side, how do you plan to address that?
Right. So is that if you're talking about the calendar, like if you're seeing like the emojis track, like your moods track, is that the question? Okay. Right. So I think as mentioned, like I really wanted to have like either resources on the application itself, have it as like an educational resource, or it could be to actually connect with different external resources around your area, such as like therapists, psychologists, if that's the avenue you want to go to. We do have more user testing as we go on, because I think we still want to continue and see where this application can be built off from. But yeah, if there's any other questions, or if there's any other questions offline too, we would love to answer them.
I have a quick question.
Yeah.
One, I love this presentation. I thought it was very genuine, the key learnings. I love this. I love this program. My question for you, I love trends. I love data. I'm in product. I'm obsessed with how I'm doing. I use my own personal tracker. Have you thought of considerations of how far back in time I can see my trends? Can I look back on like December 2020, see how I'm doing then and come forward? Have you taken considerations of how much data is available in the app at a time?
Honestly, we haven't thought about it that far, but that's definitely a really great data point that we would be collecting. I was hoping to have the data start from when you join the application. Nice. And then have that for the next 12 months. That's how much data we can store currently, because we're on the free I forgot what it was called, but how much data we can store. So we saw that actually being as a challenge. But I think if we do start building more features and we do start to adapt, we would have a more premium subscription. I know this is not about cost or anything, and then that's where people can actually store their data longer.
You can, it's not a limitation, it's a feature. You can make it like Spotify, where you can do your year in review and you have all that data accessible. It's a perfect opportunity to like make a year in review. Kayla, you were sad 400 days this year, or like, but like stuff like that.
No, that's actually super cool. I never thought of it like that. No, but that's, yeah, no, I was actually, when I started
sorry to have to cut you off. I'm so sorry.
This is things to think about for future. This was great.
No, that's really cool. I like that. Sorry.
Yeah. No, it's okay. I love the great back and forth and everything. So it's good to see. And again, great job, Team Offload. But now we'll have to move on to Team Skills Matcher. And so if you have any more questions for Team Offload, feel free to put it in the chat. Sorry for cutting you off, Kayla and Rhea. Apologies for that, but now we have to move on to the next thing so that we keep the time up. But again, great presentation so far. I'm super excited. Team Skills Matcher, over to you.
Cool. Thank you. Let me know if you can see my screen.
Yep, we can see your screen, Wes.
Okay.
Yep, whenever you're ready.
Okay. So we are Team Skills Matcher, and we're here to help you discover your starting point in tech. I had the privilege of working with 4 awesome individuals: Adaku, our product designer, Somdota and Atela, our software developers, and Nat, who was our mentor. Our problem space is about changing careers. People are changing careers all the time, especially in this day and age, particularly into tech. And a few data points we were able to find is, especially from the UK, the percentage of total workforce that will change jobs every 12 months is about 30%. And yet, workers who think that they lack industry-related qualifications in STEM was about 43%. However, we also see that workers who saw an increase in their real earnings after switching jobs. So we see this mismatch of data points where people are changing jobs, they feel like they lack the qualifications, but yet when they switch, they see an increase in their earnings. Meet Anita, a persona who we developed after conducting our user interviews. She's transitioned multiple times and is currently looking for roles in tech. How would she go about this? Where would she start? Based on our insights, we therefore decided to develop a platform where career transitioners can identify tech roles that strongly match their core skills. And let's jump into a live demo of the product. So our career transitioner would arrive on this site called Skill Matcher. They would begin by selecting their current background, for example, business analyst. Skill Matcher would then showcase to them transferable skills that they can take into their tech roles. So at this point, they can select either one or more skills or all skills. And thereafter, Skill Matcher then recommends roles in tech that align best with their strengths and with their backgrounds, which they can then explore by clicking into this, which opens a Google search that tells them more about their roles. At this point, they can also share their matches via email with a friend or with themselves so that they can save them later. And lastly, we also want to hear about their experience. So they can click on this form and leave us some feedback and let us know whether their matches were helpful. That loads. Yeah. When we have a look at the competition today, Skill Matcher, based on the feedback that we're also given by users, is transparent and easy to use, while the competition is either difficult to access or not as transparent to understand the skills that you can use to transition. When we showed our product to users, their feedback was that the flow was very intuitive, but that they also wanted to see a bit more resources when it comes to their tech role recommendations. With Skill Matcher, you can begin your journey into tech with ease. Happy to jump into Q&A now, but I think best place to go right now would be with learnings. As a team, I think our succinct learning was just we learned how to be better collaborators. As an individual, I would say that my key learning was how to create a safe space within the team. And by creating a safe space within the team, it allows everyone to bring their best selves into work. Would love to pass the mic to everyone in the team to share their learnings as well. Somdata.
Hey, hi, I'm Somdata. I'm a product developer. So my learning from COLAB and with team, like I have never worked with any other, like other than the developer while developing, but in COLAB, I have that opportunity to work with product developer, product designer, and also a mentor. So that was a very nice experience. And I also learned like how to use the product management tools and the sprint techniques that helps us to complete our task on time. So thank you for that whole amazing 8 weeks. So now I would like to pass to Attila.
Thank you so much. Actually, it was an excellent experience for the 8 weeks. Actually, I learned how to work with the project manager and designer. And also I learned how to collaborate with the team to build the MVP. And also I learned how to pair programming alongside my fellow developer. Maybe continue with the Adaku. That's all my learning. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Attila. As a product designer, I learned a lot about communicating my designs. I'm also self-taught. And so I learned the importance of communication and taking advantage of the best tools that can enable everyone to be in alignment on the team. And also the importance of like integrating feedback, like knowing when to seek for feedback and like having the team contribute in that process, and also like knowing when to now go into iterating designs based on what we've received so far. So basically like learning how best to integrate feedback into the design process. And I'll pass it back to Wes.
Awesome. Thank you, team.
Awesome presentation. Thank you so much for that. I absolutely loved everything about it, and thanks for sharing your learnings. Anchor, I know you had your hand up during the presentation, so I'm curious if you had any questions for this team. Any other person, feel free to put it in the chat. But Anchor, did you want to ask a question?
Yeah, I did want to ask a question. I thought the presentation was lovely. Great job and congratulations. On the demo itself, I noticed that you are asking your customers what their current role is and selecting their skills. Is there, what was the strategic decision you made behind not also asking them what specific role they want to go into? So I am a business analyst and I want to be an engineer, I want to be a product manager.
as opposed to your current design, which shows them the list of job descriptions that might work with them. And I'm curious if customers had any feedback about that, just about the strategy.
Great question. Thank you, Ankur. I'll touch on a few points, but would love anyone from the team to jump in. I think first, what our customers told us and what we realized as we also went through this career transition process ourselves is that you want to have a sense of, this is where I'm at today, and this is what I'm starting with. And I don't want to feel like I'm starting from scratch. And that's why our product, the journey almost transitions in that same order. It's, where are you at today? Okay, based on where you're at, these are the skills that this role allows you to have. Are there any of these skills that you want to focus on? If so, then finally we give you that aha moment and that moment of delight that these are roles that would be good to you. At one point, we also considered the alternative, which is, do our customers or do users know that the tech roles that they want to start off with? And what we found is that because tech is quite broad, and as career transitioners ourselves, there's what you know, and then there's also what you don't know. And when we spoke to career transitioners, a lot of their journey was through stumbling, was starting off in UX, UI design, realizing that, oh, actually, I don't like the visual elements, so maybe UX research is for me. And then realizing that maybe there's research ops, but tech is so broad and roles are so many that starting off with the tech role isn't really what the user is looking for, but what they're looking for is what are the roles that could be good for me and my skill set today. Let me know if that answers the question.
Yeah, I thought that was great. I was just curious. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Kayla, as well.
Awesome question. We do have time for just one more. So I'll let you pick. Do you want to answer Kayla's question or Christina's question?
No. Christina had her hand up first, so she can go first.
Awesome, Christina, already.
So it's just based off of what you were just talking about. Have you thought about maybe offering like keywords or very specific based off of the job that they're applying to that they could add to their resume? So if they have X experience, what words in tech describe that experience, but with more tech jargon to kind of bridge that gap from their current experience to where they want to be?
Somewhat, I think you've built on it really well. That was the thinking behind the skills section. So when we show you those skills, we call them transferable skills. Those are skills that we think that you'd be able to apply in your resume as you put together those applications. But I can definitely see what you mean, where maybe there's a way to either copy the skills or even like double click and find examples of how you could phrase those skills as you transition into tech. Yeah, I think that would be a really good addition. Thank you.
Cool, awesome. Great Q&A session, great presentation as well. Thank you all for sharing that skills matcha. I also love the name, I'm a big fan of matcha. I don't know if it's inspired by the drink, but I hope it was. So next up, we have team salary bands. And whenever you're ready, feel free to get ready to start presenting, and then we can move forward. So over to team salary bands.
Okay, great. Hi, everyone. I'm here to present to you salary bands. Our mission is to empower everyone to make better paid decisions. Before I start, I would like to introduce you to the team. So I'm Robert, the PM. We have Chrisia, Mackenzie, and ESL. So we all hear companies always talking about D&I and how, they are really investing into diversity and inclusion, but we believe that one of the main ways that we can actually measure diversity and inclusion initiatives is through salary equity or pay equity. So we conducted a research, and the research shows that wage gaps have widened for certain minority groups, especially women, looking at women, Black people, people from the LGBT community and all. We also did our own research to dig a little bit deeper into the the problem, and people were saying that they have been denied a raise because of their gender, their race, and they would really love to work for a company that values D&I and actually discloses pay information. So that led us to our problem statement, that is, how might we raise individual salary expectations and encourage everyone to strengthen their negotiation power, especially people from marginalized groups? So our solution is, one, a diversity database that is dependable and accurate and community-oriented. I will hand it over to Prisia to take us through a quick demo of the solution. Over to you, Prisia.
Thank you, Rob. I will share my screen. Are you all able to see my screen?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So upon a user visiting salary bands, they're called to either explore recent submissions or they're invited to submit their own compensation data. So we want to make sure that when users are submitting their data, that we're ensuring that our database is worth trusting. So a feature that we really focused on as a team is how can we ensure this? So we created a way for users to verify their professional email. So they would enter it, and then users would be invited to check their email for a magic link. So I entered my email. I went back to my email, and here's the magic link. Once the user clicks on the magic link, they have an option to upload their PDF to further have that verification, or just enter their information manually. When a user is decides to enter their information manually, they're asked a series of comprehensive questions about details of their role, including compensation, salary negotiation, and demographics. So I will quickly fill this in. So company is optional. And the reason why we made this optional is because some folks might be working in small companies. And again, we want to make sure that their identity is protected. And I forgot to mention this, but the reason why a user clicks a magic link is so that their email and the compensation data they submit is separate. And so we can, again, further protect person's identity and have that on anonymity aspect. So I might be working in an agency. I will put United States, put Alaska, Barrow. Users can select, I'll put product designer. I can put my base salary. I can identify if it's an annual, monthly, or biweekly. I could put my years of experience, work arrangement. And then we want to, again, to make sure that users can understand if a salary was negotiated or not. So I can say my salary was negotiated and give an idea of the percentage. After this, users are then asked to submit to provide demographic data. So the reason for this, again, echoing Rob, is that public salary data is often an important and often underutilized tool in eliminating gender, race, and disability wage gaps. So it is a completely optional part of the input form, but we do encourage our users to provide that information. So I might put in that I'm a female, Asian, and have ADHD. And then the last part of the input form is we ask users and we encourage them to pay it forward by sharing advice on how they broke into tech or how they may have negotiated their own salary. So I'll just include a prepared advice. So after a user submits their information, they can go back and see their recent submission. And the next feature we have on our product is users can then use the filter to help them look for detailed and specific salary data based on demographic-based tags. So I might be interested in specifically looking at negotiated data, so it could populate just users with negotiated data. And maybe I also want to know who else has submitted that identifies as having a disability. And then I can also look at that data. I can also look at data based on gender and race. Then my favorite feature that our team worked on is the tips and advice page. So on this page, this is solely focusing on this question of how can I find more personalized and relatable advice as it relates to negotiating salary and also breaking into tech. So as a designer, I might want to just find product designers that submitted advice, and then I can read their advice and see what I resonate with, relate with, and might want to put into practice in any future interviews or any future reviews that I might be going into. All right, now I'll pass it to Rob to go over any learnings from our team.
So yeah, thanks for that presentation. So back to our learning. So as a PM, I think as a PM, your biggest resource is your team that you work with. Is actually important to keep everyone aligned and motivated, especially when you choose a problem space. Also, we learn to kind of adapt agile practices into our workflow that actually expedited our productivity and help us to work better. And also one last thing was mentorship. Mentorship is very important, especially, I mean, having a sounding board or someone else to kind of look over and, you know, kind of give a different perspective and talking to your users as well. And another thing I would say would be just overlook building the shiny stuff and actually build something that's really important for users and something that they can use at the end of the day. Over to you, Chris here.
We are a little bit short on time, so I really want us to move to the Q&A section. I do think you had a wonderful presentation, but I want to give you the chance to also get some questions in there. So Kayla has her hand up. Kayla, do you have, what is your question for Team?
Let's ask Wes's first. So could you talk us through the tech of this product? So like, what's the tech stack?
Great. Tech team, do you want to take that?
As a strong product manager.
Yeah, in the backend, we use Ruby on Rails. Also, the authentication was done with JWT gem, and the front end, Mackenzie, maybe you want to talk about it, but it was React, right?
Yeah, so the front end was built in React, and it used a few different libraries. Just stylistic libraries for like toggles and selects and inputs and things like that.
Awesome. So I have two questions. One, in your research while looking at other tools, did you come across the app Blind?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay,
so we.
Reminded me of Blind very much. Two, I think it's amazing that you made this database of people's salaries. Was there, when I'm thinking of salaries and negotiation, a really big part of like what comes to the table for your salary is what year did you start at the company? Was that like, how come that wasn't included? Like me negotiating in 2022 is very different than me negotiating in 2021.
Yeah, I mean, it's something that we thought about. I mean, the years of experience, or actually what year you started. So what we were thinking about is to actually have a filter where you can actually filter based on years. It's something that, I mean, it's still in our backlog, but we didn't actually incorporate it into this MVP. But we have a lot of other things that we will be focusing on it as well. So I think, I mean, based on the feedback that we've gotten, it was kind of a complex project. I mean, at first we thought it was simple, but when you really dig into the weeds of it, you realize it's very complex and it has a lot of moving parts. Other thing that we were thinking about is how to make it more secure so that people actually want to submit their salary and keep that anonymity part of it very, you know, concrete. So that people, but then people were kind of not worried about submitting their salaries. A lot of people that we talked to were like, we don't care sharing our salary. It's something that they believe that everyone should have access to. So yeah, we have a lot of features on our backlog that we will still be working on. Thank you for that question.
Yeah, thank you. I'd like, oh, can I take one more question? The Wes's. Yeah, so like just quickly with Blind, something we found in our competitor research is that there's often this challenge on Blind with like a toxic environment and a lot of like cyberbullying or this like a lot of the space being dominated by folks like holding privilege or holding just like a lot of non-marginalized identities. So one way we wanted to combat that in salary bands is like a more centralized way of receiving that feedback without that back and forth that could, you know, a lot of unprotected way of having back and forth conversation. And then with Wes's question of levels FYI, so the biggest thing that we want users to get out of salary bands is how can I just access just more information of market salary prices and market salaries, and also just any stories. Like, I think the biggest thing is like stories of how to negotiate salary with people who have salient identities that relate to my own. Because I think that's something missing in levels FYI. It's mainly large companies. The data can't be aggregated as much as we want by folks' identities that really do impact how they navigate tech or navigate their professional life.
Cool. Great presentation all around, great responses to all the questions. So awesome job, team, awesome demo. So yeah, great job all around. Very impressed with the amount of work that you put in just 8 weeks. So now we'll be moving on to Team Goalify. Team Goalify, are you ready? Feel free to get started on your presentation. Team Goalify, you're on mute. So would you like to go off mute and get started if you're talking?
Okay, can everyone hear me? Can everyone hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Yeah, we can hear you.
Sorry about that. Yeah, so I'm Ade. I was a product designer for Team Goalify. Our PM is currently sick, so she was unable to make it today. But I'll take advantage of that and just go ahead and present what we have so far. So basically, Goalify is a goal tracking app where you can develop and track your goals and also, as well as reflect on your goals. So why we decided to venture into this product space was because, well, actually, this is our team, Ravisha, me, Ade, Bishra, developer, and Omar, our other developer. And the problem space we ventured into was the fact that 91% of us wouldn't achieve our New Year's resolutions or just goals we make in general. And I thought this was a very provoking article to read. Our product manager found it out, and so we decided to tackle this problem space in terms of goal creation and motivation towards that goal. So we did a couple of user researches, and we found that for a lot of people, they may not document their motivation as they declare their goal. Apart from that, we also found out what makes people stay motivated, and some of those things is just deriving a sense of worth as you're pursuing that goal, even though you haven't accomplished that goal yet. Is deriving a sense of worth as you're accomplishing it. And lastly, it's also physically seeing your accomplishments and actually seeing what you worked for and seeing it in real time. So we took all of those kind of pinpoints and user insights and decided to tie psychology into it. So in goal setting, you can actually break down your main goal into smaller goals or milestones. And this helps with promoting motivational salience, which is kind of like psychology where, the more you do something and it feels good, the more you want it to happen. So with that, we're able to create 2 of our problem statements, which was, how might we help foster an environment where users derive self-worth as they reflect and work towards their goals? And secondly, how might we help individuals visualize the growth over time and increase accountability and reinforce progress towards their goal? So I'll take you to Goalify, our platform here. And as you can see here, users are able to create their goal and also create their motivation towards their goal. And this is where they have the possibility to deposit their own intrinsic value into this as to, okay, this is my inner reason as to why I want to achieve this goal. Secondly, they can create milestones. So they can add as many as they want. And after that, if their goal is time bound, they're able to create a start and end date for this goal. So we're just going to go over some of the uses of this goal. So when we create a goal, the information you store is put in a goal card. And as you can see my goal is to visit 3 countries before 2023. And you're able to see your progress that you made through that goal when you click on this eye. You're also able to track your progress by updating the goal. And lastly, if you wanted to reflect on this goal, you can reflect on the milestones you've achieved within this goal. You can see your achieved milestones and as well as your in progress milestones. And let's say I've decided to visit my 2 developers, Omar and Bishra, in Egypt. I can talk about that and also reflect about it, as well as see my motivation towards this goal. Lastly, the thing we decided to do is that sometimes we may need to pause some of our goals because other things take priority. So for here, we actually thought, okay, we can allow users to pause goals instead of always, going for the deleting of goals. So here, they can pause a goal, and then whenever they're ready to track that goal again, they're able to see this goal once more here and start tracking it once more. And when they do that, it'll get back to their active goals card view. Apart from that, you can also differentiate goals how you want in the niche category. So you can have a career goal, and you can do the same functionalities here. You can also have a travel goal, view board, and you can also create your own category. So let's say here I wanted to do fitness goals. I can have the fitness view board and then create my goal within this fitness view board. The last thing we also decided to do was, let's say we're in a very shaky area right now where a lot of things are happening or not happening. So let's say somehow I want to become a startup founder and Notion wanted to acquire me, but 5 days till the deal happened, they went out of the deal because they didn't have enough funding due to the economic climate. So with that, I'm able to actually undo a milestone I thought I achieved, and it can go back to being a work in progress as I continue to work towards this goal. And lastly, it wasn't able to be built yet, but to reinforce accountability, we decided to kind of take a page off of GitHub's story and kind of use this data overview where we can track when they created a goal, their milestone, and when they achieved the goal for every goal they create. And as well as, you can also add pictures as well as save your reflection. That way they derive a feeling of self-worth because they're able to physically see what they achieve within each milestone. And with that being the case, they're able to see a progressive feed of their achievements within each goal they've created and the milestone within this category. And that is it for now for Goal 5.
Amazing. Would you like to share your learnings for the members of the team that are here? Because you still have some time in the presentation before we go to Q&A.
Yeah, sure. So personally for me, I think as a product designer, it's just really getting everyone aligned and kickstarting the process, because as we're kind of like the visual aid of the goal of the product we're trying to build or the idea we're trying to build upon, it's kind of our job to kickstart that process and we could get our ideas to start flowing visually, because I think that's how we can like start to build upon ideas. So I knew that was really key for starting the process, and also to really be a guide or be a help for the developers. So in that case, I know there are things like design systems which help developers and makes the ease of their work much easier. So with that, those were kind of the things I helped with, like just understanding how to work better with developers and thinking about how to create features that are easy to build for developers, just because prioritization and time was a key thing for us. And then I'll pass it over to Bishoy.
Hello. So for me, it was very interesting experience that every week we discuss features and how to prioritize them, and with the product designer to see the most easy way for user to access some features, and then at the same time to not be so complex in the development so we can achieve it. And it was also a nice experience with development phase. We applied the Git flow, and we tried to avoid the conflicts in the code because the UI is complex. So there is a lot in common of the code structure. So yeah, this for me, and I was challenged with UI technologies. I was never used that before. So yeah, good experience overall. Thanks.
Cool, awesome. Anybody else on the team? I think we're good for time. So we can then move on to questions. So I know Wes has a question, but there are a couple questions in there. So the first question is what's feature on your roadmap that the user wants?
Yeah, so some of the other features users wanted were to be able to share your goal, and the user did discuss like a new use case of this is like, for mentor mentees. This can be like an asynchronous way to just provide update on your goals and how you're working towards that. And you can also provide visual proof of your progress within your goal with your mentor through pictures. So we didn't make it shareable just yet, but on the goals page, there's a share button that, in the future, we would make it shareable, whether it's via email or another outlet. And another thing was, just for the tracking of the data, I think we showed it a bit in the Figma mockup with the graph overview with your data points. Obviously, we didn't get to build that out, but I think that would show a lot more in deep details of how you're actually working towards your goals and the different edits you're making towards that goal. It would all be there to track it. So I think it was just providing more insights apart from okay, how many milestones you reached and what percentage of the goals you've accomplished within when you started it and when you decided to end it. Will be more features we want to add towards it.
Cool. You have another question from Paulo. Is there a feature to see how your friends are doing on their goals to keep a sense of accountability?
Yeah, I don't know if you're listening, but I just mentored as a mentor-mentee feature, and you can use it for your friend feature where you just share your goals. So I can share my screen and just show you what I mean real quick. So if I click here, there's a share button. We haven't implemented it, but that'll be the social aspect of accountability where you can share, okay, this is my goal page. These are my all milestones, my achieved milestones, my in progress milestones. So you can share that with your friends or whoever by just clicking here and obviously sending it via email. And then when you do actually end up achieving your goal, we created a slight moment of delight for our users where confetti pops up. So shout out to Bishoy and Omar for that. But yeah, we thought that would be a nice thing to add, a nice touch to add for our users.
Cool. Last question before we move on to the next team. Kayla has a question, and I'm also curious about this. It's have you thought about the mobile designs and how this will look on the mobile screen? I'm not sure you showed it in it being responsive, but I'm curious about that.
Yeah, we didn't think of creating it responsive just because, this was kind of advice from our mentors, you can only really show it on the web right now, or it's easier just to show it on the web. So we just focused on a web experience for now for our product. But I know a user did mention, this would be cool for a mobile thing. So we think we would focus on the card views for mobile, and then you can slide down. But I don't think that would be ideal UX for if you have a lot of goals. But I also think the category tagging may help with reducing your sliding effort. So that could be something we ideate upon if we were to pivot into mobile.
Cool, awesome. Yeah, I also love delightful features. So thanks for adding and shipping the content.
Yeah, I kind of told Omar and Bishop we have to have delight, or it wouldn't make sense. So I'm glad that all worked out in the end. So yeah.
Amazing compromise, an amazing way to make it happen. Cool. So
Yeah.
now moving on to the next team, Team MoneyMate. Get ready to start presenting, and then you have 5 minutes. Super excited. And thank you so much, Team Golify. Great presentation. Okay, Team MoneyMate. You come off mute. I can't hear you if you're speaking.
Hi, everyone. So I hope you're all doing great. Awesome presentations. So we're here to present you MoneyMate, where paying bills is a team play. So first, I'll introduce you to our awesome team. So I have myself as a product manager, Pedro. We have Jacob as our developer.
I'm Natalie, and I'm the product designer.
I'm Zach. I'm the front-end developer.
And we have Razvan as our awesome mentor. You're enjoying the perfect time out with your group. Suddenly, they bring you a check. Who pays what? How much? To whom? Stress no more. MoneyMate splits your bill automatically, however you want it. So on our problem space, after conducting our research, we found out that first of all, when there's groups of more, when you go out with your friends in a groups more than 3 people, it gets very stressful to know exactly who needs to pay what, which part of the bill, and who does what. Our users also tend to not plan ahead. So usually when people go out, even if they know that they're going out, they don't plan ahead, for example, for a budget or what's going to happen in the situation that somebody's going to pay for the rest of the group, or how are you going to divide the bill, but it's something that you stress on the moment that they give you the bill. When somebody pays for you, you tend to forget sometimes who you owe and how much do you owe, and it's very hard for the person who paid for the rest to be able to reclaim this and to be able to ask the person and be like, hey, you owe me this and that. And also, when you're doing a budget and when you're doing a budget with friends, it's usually not easy. You can do like an Excel, you can do different apps that you can create this budget, but it's usually not an interactive way to be able to share this with the rest of your group and to be able to add or change values or share the expense data that you have on these budgeting. So we want you to meet Daniel. Daniel is 27 and his business strategy is in NYC. He's a financially active person and he's very sociable and very somewhat tech oriented. He values a lot of time and efficiency, and he's a person that also values saving money and spending smart. So it's important for him to have social experiences as well, and he usually tends to go out in large groups of people. So he wants to be able to have an automatic way and to know exactly when he goes out with groups, how much he needs to pay, to whom, and just focus on paying and not stressing out in all the process behind who needs to pay what and to whom. So we introduce you our solution, which is MoneyMate. I hand it out to Nat.
So we first focused on user authentication. So directly sending them an email or text invite to be put into the system so you can add them to Bill's activities in the groups. Then we can create an activity or a bill, which a bill could be under an activity. In this case, we're having a birthday weekend in January. We then add our friends that are already in the system into the group, which then you can have space to add bills. We then create a bill, take a picture of the bill, add in the details and who from the group is on the bill. Then the picture will directly input the information, or in this case, we manually put in all the items into the bill. Then so the previous was splitting even the bill. This one is customizing how we want to split the bill, and you select who pays for what, and MoneyMate stores who owes who, and it simplifies the steps so we don't go back and forth with numerous Venmo requests or direct deposits, and it's all just like conglomerated into one notification.
Here's the demo of the app. It's the beta version, covers the core of what MoneyMates is. As you can see, you can add friends, search through them, you can create a bill here, give it a name, add your friends. You can add items. I think I add a few here. I'll also drop the link to this live application in the chat. So once you create the bill, you can go and view it, and you can mark people off, as you can see at the bottom, if they paid or not. And yeah, that's the demo.
In terms of our reflection, basically the biggest the key insights after this cohort were deciding and prioritizing and considering what's the most important thing. Also for our users, when we did our user testing, reference and questions, and determining the true worth of our product and measure its usefulness, as well as also being able to form our team and work with all of the different responsibilities and encourage people to, our teammates, to just focus on their own roles.
Iteration after user testing was something that was fun to work on, getting more comfortable with talking about the why for things, as I have a background as a visual designer. So different part of my brain, and just understanding pain points better from user research and timing with the developers.
So one big thing I learned is that the time conflictions from where our team was kind of spread across the world, it can be hard to match up with times, and it can kind of set back a little bit. Another thing is scoping. I personally have a problem with over scoping things. I like to set my goals high, and I learned quickly that not to over scope because there's a certain time restriction that you have. And yeah.
Cool, awesome. Thank you all. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, yeah, I was going to say that. That's it.
Awesome. So now we can move on to questions. So we have a couple in the chat. So let's start with Reyes. Do you do conversion rates in case you travel abroad or meet abroad friends and family?
We honestly didn't. We focused on the US or any dollarized country. So that's something that definitely will be very useful to be able to implement for like a later version, so that we can use different currencies and be able to do that with all different currencies. But still, you will be able to like input the money and just since right now it's not, you don't actually pay from the app, then you will be able to view the amount or the value that you own in the currency that in you know, by numbers, right? But yeah, that's a great thing. That's a great option that we should add it up.
Next question from Kayla. Kayla, do you want to just go off mute and ask? Sorry.
Sure. I might have missed this. Just like, how do I know when it's time for me to pay? So Nat's trying to get, she wants to pay her visa off. How am I getting notified as an individual? I might have missed it. Sorry.
I can answer that one. So the idea was originally we were going to make a native app. I had a lot of troubles with my dev environment starting out. I was wanting to do it in React Native. I ended up doing it in Next.js and just making it look like a mobile app in the browser. But with the initial idea in mind on mobile, you were going to be able to get notifications that show you, you know, that remind you within a certain time frame or remind you like the day of, that kind of thing.
Yeah. The fact that when you invited someone, you have their email or text. Now you have that information about them. You could always use that to send them a ping later. But yeah, don't be discouraged on native not working. It's hard. Good job.
Cool. One last question from Amanda. Have you thought of, oh, Amanda, would you like to just come off mute and ask the question?
Yeah, so I've used Splitwise a lot, which is a little similar to this. And one thing I really liked about that was like you can connect it to Venmo and like automatically like pay like what you owe through Venmo. Have you thought about doing something similar just to make it easier for those people to be like, oh, just take my money?
Yeah, absolutely. That wasn't something we could get to, but we would love to be able to add third-party payment methods just to make it, you know, seamless to have the payouts done. That was definitely in mind when developing that.
And to go even further and to add to Zach's response, also like we don't know if it's possible, but we besides doing that, we will also like see the possibility of being able to input that with different POS, so that you're able to, like, if you're not used to the app and you don't have the app, you're able to just like with a click with a button on the POS, you can actually divide this, and then you can just like onboard with your email, and that will be it for you to split the whole account. So that will be like another step further for the future. So yeah.
Cool, awesome. Now we'd like to move on to the final team for this group, so Team Topper. So get ready to present and take us home.
Oh, you can click on slideshow, Christina, on the right corner next to share.
Sorry, I was just trying to unmute
Oh,
myself.
you're good. Oh. Okay, for sure. Hi, welcome everyone. This is our product Tupper. My name is Paolo. I'm the product designer along with Christina as our product manager and Amit and Lawal as our developers. Tupper is a mobile application we built to help American and millennial individuals reduce their food waste and save money. And we're excited to share our product with you. We're tackling this problem now because it is estimated that 30 to 40% of the food supply in the United States, along with nearly 50% of all food produced and distributed globally, is wasted each year.
And so with our backgrounds, we decided on a problem statement of how might we empower American millennial individuals to throw away less food, save money, and help the environment. So we did user surveys and interviews, and we created this user persona. This is Melissa. She's 28 years old and works really hard, but living in California is very expensive. So she's currently living paycheck to paycheck, and noticed when doing her budgeting that she spends a lot of time or a lot of money on groceries. And that she often buys things at the grocery store that she doesn't actually need because she doesn't know currently what she has. And then also being reminded to things that are in her fridge already without forgetting about them before they expire. So this is our user persona.
Okay, according to our market and user research, we discovered our user pain points and we developed user stories to inspire our MVP. And our MVP features include food inventory management, proper food storage tips, and expiration tracking with push notification. And now we are going to share live demo with you.
So let me know if you guys can hear this. Can you hear?
Yeah.
Could you hear him talking?
Can you start?
Yeah. Could you hear Paolo talking already?
Oh, no.
Oh, okay. Okay. Let me
Okay.
see how I can turn on the sound.
I believe it is possible to share the voice with Zoom.
Sorry. Does anyone know how to do this quickly? To share the sound on Zoom. I know how to do it on Google Hangout, but
yeah. So similarly, when you want to share screen, you could also like share sound.
Okay. Yeah, I see. Sorry.
Yeah.
New share sound. Aha. Okay. All right. Sorry for the delay.
We focused on clean, straightforward, and innovative designs to make our app user-friendly and accessible. Once our user downloads the app, the user is taken to our onboarding pages. As you can see, we give a brief background on the purpose behind our application and provide some insight into the features we developed. We chose to start with an onboarding flow to present the value to our users up front. Next, we have a sign-up login feature. Now that the user has created a login, they are taken to our homepage. Here, they can see how many items they have in each location and are able to easily add items to their inventory from the homepage. Based on user research and feedback, we wanted to make adding an item very easy and intuitive. By clicking on the Add button in the navigation section, our user can add a food item to their inventory along with the expiration date, quantity, and storage selection. Once they have added items, they can click on location and see all their food items, or click on either fridge, pantry, or freezer to see the items specific to their location. Here, they can sort alphabetically or by expiration date. Our user research suggested that you can save money simply by buying only what you need, so providing a way for our users to easily keep track of what they have supports our KPIs. Our users can edit a food item by changing location, quantity, or expiration date. We also included a trash feature to manage and keep their inventory updated. The user can select what they did with the item. Next, we added a storage guide to provide our users tips on how to properly store their food items. Lastly, we added push notifications to alert our users on impending expiration dates.
We already have the Android version of Topper in review on the Google Play Store. So going forward, we are looking into releasing the iOS version of Topper in the App Store. In future versions of Topper, we would like to add a shopping list creator, recipe suggestion, add more storage tips, waste tracking, and impact dashboard. Based on user research, we'll be adding a quick scan feature to let a user add food items quickly. We'll also be using the user zip code to search for nearby food donation centers. Co.Lab has been an incredible experience for all of us, so we want to share what we learned. I learned how to contribute more to idea brainstorming, effectively prioritize my task and time management. And technically, I learned how to use effectively React query for server state management, Firebase class messaging for push notification in a React Native cross-platform mobile application.
And me, I had no experience with mobile application before the COLAB, so I had the chance to learn React Native with TypeScript. Also, this is first time I work with cross-functional teams, so I can say I developed my communication and collaboration skills. And Paulo?
Yeah, so under this program, I was able to gain more familiarity with the Agile process, working with cross-functionally with developers and a product manager. Just to keep ourselves on task and to keep us updated on whether we're running into roadmaps or anything else. Christina?
So I was able to build on prior PM experience, but really also strengthen my technical and design skills. Also leading this cross-functional team was such a pleasure, especially spanning the world and dealing with lots of crazy time zones. No more 5 a.m. meetings. And also developing really end-to-end vision and following through with using agile methodologies. So our app is currently being reviewed in the Google Play Store and iOS coming soon. So please feel free to check it out. We will post a link to it in Discord as soon as it's approved, so you can download and start using Tupper very soon. So thank you. That is our project, and now we're open for Q&A.
Awesome presentation. I love the raccoon.
Thank you.
So you really love that, and just like the visual elements, great touch there. Any questions so far before we wrap up? We do have some extra time, so if anyone has any questions, feel free to go ahead, unmute your mic and ask. Kayla, I feel like you have a question brewing.
I always have questions. So I loved like the fact that you had pantry, fridge, like all these different places where like people store food. From a dev perspective or like testing, did you limit it on like you can only have 15 items in certain places, or did you introduce limits at all?
Our devs can add more to this. I believe that you can add as many items as you want. We thought about being able to add locations. So if someone had a location other than pantry, freezer, fridge, but we decided to scope it down to these 3 main things. And I know that you can add quantities up to the triple digits, but Dev, do you want to add how many items you can add to each location if there's a limit?
Yeah, there's no limit to the number of items you can add to each location. So you can add as much items as possible.
And do you need an account? You do need an account to sign up for this. How come?
Yeah, so we wanted it so that you could store the location, like store your information. And then in future iterations, like we've talked about, like what if you're a shared household? So being able to have like a login or ways to keep the information private, but also allow you to, in the future, to be able to connect accounts and stuff.
Nice. Okay, cool. Thank you.
I have a question. Have you thought of like having this connect to like any like MyFitnessPal? So if you're like logging food, it can automatically log like what's been used in your pantry?
Yeah, we hadn't really thought about connecting with like fitness apps, but that's a really good idea. Some of the user feedback we got was definitely like adding items and keeping it updated might be like a challenge in the future. And so in future iterations, we really want to make sure that we're focusing on making it as easy as possible to add items, and connecting with third parties might be a great solution for that as well.
I love this, by the way, because I am the worst at letting food expire. My team knows this because I cooked something that I was like not sure about, and I got food poisoning. So I was like,
Yeah.
I need this in.
One thing we found in user research as well that was really common was people would buy things for recipes, but only use a small part of it and then have a lot left over. So adding things like recipe suggestions and stuff to help inspire users to use things that they currently have in their fridge would be, future iterations that we might add based off of our user research.
Cool. Any other questions for this team? Also, congrats on pushing it to the App Store. Super excited for that. Can't wait till it gets published.
Thank you.
And then, so yeah, you mentioned iOS coming soon. What is blocking that progress? Or I'm curious, is there any other additional development work that you have to do for that?
Yeah, I know that Lowell was building both of them at the same time, but I think that I don't think that he had an Apple phone in order to do the testing on, but he can add more to that if you want to add more information.
Yeah, we developed the iOS application to the point of implementing push notification, which was our last feature. But the thing with iOS is you can test the push notification feature with your simulator on the Apple. So you have to use a real iOS device. And then none of myself or Amit as an physical iOS device. So that was why you had to just completely for Android at this point.
Still amazing progress, by the way. The fact that you were building both at the same time and you got very far. So congrats on that. Sorry. Cool. So I guess that wrapped it up for all of us here in this room. I'm super excited and very happy to have witnessed the amazing set of presentations from everyone. First of all, like, huge round of applause. Just take some time to just like clap. Very impressed with the amazing impact that you've all made. I know you're all at different stages and different phases and the products, but I was thoroughly impressed with the amount of progress that you've made. Again, 8 weeks is an incredibly short amount of time to build anything. And the fact that a lot of you have shipped stuff, it's working. Some people are like getting ready to be on the App Store. You all have users already. Like it's very impressive. And I think that you should not discount how hard it was. You shouldn't also discount how impressive it was as well. So I just wanted to like take a second to let you all know that you are all incredibly talented. And the fact that you're here today, proud and happy and presenting, you should be incredibly proud of that. I'm certainly very proud. Today was like such a rocky day for me, but this has been the highlight, being able to come here and see the amazing impact that everyone has made, the confidence, the learning. So I thank you all for giving me the opportunity to witness such creativity, high performance, and everything that you showcased over the past 8 weeks. I also know it hasn't been easy. Like Christina said, again, most of you are spread out across the world, and then you're having to like work at odd hours, 5 a.m. to like hop on calls and do whatever. But now you're here today, and I hope it's been worth it. It certainly was worth it for me to be able to just like witness those presentations. So again, thank you once again. Like, round of applause, everyone. Please take some time to just like give yourself a round of applause. So now that we're done the presentations, in terms of next steps, we'll all go back to the main room. I do think that there's some folks that are still presenting in that main room. So by the time we go back, let's just like make sure we mute ourselves. And then Beth is pretty much going to wrap up. And then we're welcome to sort of like end everything on a high note. I'm super excited to read more. I saw like the product packs coming in already, read a couple of them. So excited to like see more of you all. Just be very happy and proud of the work that you're doing and getting your certificate and sort of like announcing the incredible work that you've been doing. Again, great job. Very happy to be here, and thanks for the privilege to be able to witness the amazing work that you've done over the past 8 weeks. So now I'm going to leave this room. Let's go back to the main room watch the last presentation, and then Beth will wrap up, and then we can just end the night on a high. Again, great job, everyone. You do definitely deserve an amazing long weekend where you can relax and just feel proud about the amazing work that you've done. Cool, awesome. So let's go back to the main room. See you there. Bye, everyone.